Okay, so that is started up on our end. And YouTube says that it is receiving our content. Excellent. Give everybody just a few moments to get into the stream. There we go. All right. Hello and welcome to Gilmore's Glorious Gossip, a show dedicated to Critical Role over on the Geek and Sundry Twitch channel. Welcome to everyone joining us live. As always, if you can't stay, that's quite alright. We will be posting this on Monday. It might be a little tough to watch this one, but we'll get into why in just a moment. Many thanks to Akuma Mika at EmmaFrost91 for our logo. This week we are not featuring any artwork. We will be doing our face cams this week in just a moment. But for the artists out there, if you would like your art featured here, please let any of the show's hosts know, either using our official @Gilmore_Gossip Twitter account, emailing us at gilmoresgloriousgossip@gmail.com, or contacting us over on Tumblr, gilmore-gossip.tumblr.com. Spaced out on that for a second, sorry about that. Or you can contact us directly. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you can catch us each and every week. I'm Akiva, found on Twitter at AkivaDavid, AKIVADAPHYDD. And joining me today is my excellent friend. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, I'm Jessie, otherwise known as Jessie LR Leaf over on Twitter, or you can find me at my Tumblr at CurlSketch.
So before we get into anything from the most recent episode, we do want to put out just a little trigger warning. This episode is going to be dealing with the topics of suicide, depression, maybe even touching on death. We here at Gilmore's Glorious Gossip understand that these topics may be difficult to talk about or even listen to others talk about. If you don't want to stay, we understand. If you do want to stay, viewer discretion is advised. If you're ever facing the darkness of depression or suicidal thoughts, please, 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 please reach out to someone. Down in the description, there's a list of resources to help you get any help you may need. The majority of the resources that are listed are from the U.S. However, there is a list for Wikipedia for international resources. If you guys do go to the Wikipedia, not every country in the world is listed there. And if your country is not listed, please contact an editor or become an editor and add your country in with that information. You're helping a lot of people by doing so. And as always, remember, you are not alone. We are a community. We spread love. We are here for you. So with those being said, hello! You can see our glorious faces.
Hi.
So it's me and Jesse today. I'm the one on the left.
If that wasn't obvious.
So just a few announcements from last episode of Critical Role. Thank you to the 44,700 plus people who answered the Critical Role survey. That's going to go a long way in helping us shape how Critical Role is going to appear, some of the things that they're going to do for us, with us in the future. On Tuesday, April 25th, this coming Tuesday, from 4 to 6 p.m. over on the Twitch channel, Matthew Mercer is going to be doing a 2-hour question and answer session. Just him, Brian, and the chat. And along with that, he's going to be following up on a promise that he made quite a while ago, and we're going to help him build an NPC to appear in Critical Role. So make sure you're there. Check on that. That will be a lot of fun.
I'm really sad. I might miss it because I have classes.
Oh, well,
Wait, Tuesday, right?
yeah, Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific time.
What am I talking about? I'm totally going to watch it.
So, with that being said, normally we would do uh, some Talks Machina highlights and some comments from last week, but this week, considering what happened last episode, we wanted to turn this into more of a PSA type of deal. Sort of discuss what happened with the episode and some of the thoughts and comments that we noticed from the community that came out because of it. So, great comments. Thank you for coming back and commenting on last week's episode. We are in the process of getting back into replying to all of those comments. It's been a really rough week for me, so I apologize if I haven't replied to your comments over on the YouTube channel. I say over, you're here, so.
We're already here, Kiva.
Yes. I guess I'm stalling a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, it's a heavy subject, so.
Yeah. So, just a real quick rundown. Um, the latest episode was the one shot by Liam, because next week is when Matt's picking up, and there's going to be that 1 year story break for Vox Machina. And to say that Liam's story was dark is putting it rather lightly.
Mm.
Just a real quick summary. The cast were playing themselves. Matt and Marisha were able to get in on it as well this time. And they were playing younger, almost child versions of themselves. Some of the cast were actually playing children versions of themselves, while others were playing teen versions of themselves. They started out lost in a swamp-like forest, which turned out to be still the studios, the WB studios. And then they had a few fights. They came across a beach scene where they were facing off at level 1 against Demogorgon and just a legion of Demogorgon's demons. And that is where it started getting very dark. Like, at the beginning, there was, for lack of a better term, a scene where they had come across the body of a child that had been crushed. So, and that was, very close to the beginning. So, that really let a lot of people know that this isn't your ordinary game of D&D.
There wasn't really any warning either from Liam.
No, there wasn't. And I think that fueled a lot of the not contemplation. A lot of the reactions and such.
Yeah.
That that came about a little bit later in the episode. But facing off against Demogorgon at level 1, it was going to be a TPK. And Liam got descriptive with the TPK.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, they went to a break, and Liam let everyone know that at least that portion of it came directly from his nightmares. Really great DM tool to use, pulling from your nightmares, your dreams, pulling from stories that you've heard, and that sort of thing. But wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, they pretty much had to sit there and watch everyone die.
Especially when Matt saw Marisha die.
And Matt did a really great job at his reactions for that.
Yeah.
Um, One thing I will say is because this wasn't an ongoing campaign, this wasn't something that they were going to invest a an entire campaign to. There was this a little bit of detachment that the cast had that I don't think a lot of the viewers picked up on.
Yeah, there was.
Because I mean, despite Matt giving this great reaction, when they were in combat and it was somebody else's turn, he was turning and talking with Marisha and was joking and laughing. So you could tell it was a staged reaction because of his what he was doing in real life. But the reaction he gave was just on point. So they come back from break, and when they wake up, they are in a motion capture soundstage. And they have a run in with these mechanical creatures or creations, and then have to go and find Liam himself. They end up finding him, and Liam gives this speech. Now, before I get into the speech itself, huge props to Liam because he used his speak and spell voice for a good half hour, 45 minutes.
Oh yeah, that that was impressive. And if I hadn't been so scared when watching it, I would have been just sitting there dumbfounded. That was a feat in itself.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he has to do that while breathing in order to make that particular sound, and that hurts. That is hard on the vocal cords. But getting into the speech itself, as if the game wasn't dark enough already with, children dying, watching your friends die, Liam gets into a conversation where he apologizes for putting the cast through all of this, tells them that the only way to free themselves of what the time loops that they've been going through is that they have to let him go, and um, in essence kill him in order to be free.
Yep.
And a lot of people took that as something, or it took that as Liam actually saying goodbye to everybody.
It didn't really, for me, it didn't really get real until he started to say the actual goodbyes. It still felt a little bit in character, that he was just portraying a character when he said to kill him initially,
Mm-hmm.
but going throughout that entire scene, it started to feel.
Yeah, because he went one by one and told everybody what they meant to him and thanking them for enriching his life. And a lot of people saw that as, oh my God, Liam, are you okay? I am not knocking that reaction. That is a beautiful, beautiful reaction. It shows that you care for Liam, that you care for these cast members, and that you are, in a way, spreading the love. As you guys may know, unless this is your first time watching, I was in the Army for 13 years. I did military intelligence, and I learned how to read body language. And during this entire scene, I got the impression that Liam was wanting to do something special for his friends, to thank them for being a part of his life. And it was not intended as a cry for help or a signal that he was thinking of doing anything. I could be wrong because I don't know Liam personally. I could be wrong. There's always that possibility. But there were things posted on Reddit and comments from the cast that signaled that there wasn't any danger of us losing such a wonderful individual. That's not to say he's not going through things in his life. He might be. But it's not a serious it's not a serious jump on Liam and make sure he doesn't hurt himself type of situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And as a matter of fact, during the actual episode in the Geek and Sundry chat, DWargs619 in the chat picked up the same vibes that I was getting, and he posted in the chat verbatim, "Guys, please calm down. Liam is not actually suicidal. He's telling them how much they mean to him in the best way he knows how." And there was a post on Reddit that Jess found, and I apologize for not copying it into the notes, but
Oh, I
we've.
didn't. Do you want me to send that to you now?
Oh, no, no, I've got it on Skype, but I was hoping you would be willing to read it off.
Okay. Let me go to Skype and find it. Sorry.
Oh, not a problem. But the message that Jess is about to read was actually picked up by Matt and reposted elsewhere. Sort of as a confirmation that, yes, it was a dark and heavy topic, and it was a dark and heavy game, but everybody is okay. So.
All right. So this user, I did not actually copy down their name. Did you happen to see it?
I did not. And so, if you are watching and you are the one who posted it, we do apologize that we didn't catch your name. We will do better with that in the future.
And we'll post it down in the description below.
For those of you watching on Monday, it will be in the description below. Those of you watching live, it's gonna wait. Sorry.
Sorry. So during Liam's one shot, there was a pivotal and poetic sequence where Liam thanked each of the cast individually, asking the cast to let him go, essentially let him die, in order to rescue themselves and end the time loop. Two significant threads developed from this. One, the viewers saw the declarations of praise given to each of his fellow actors as commendable and loving praise for being his friend, for being so talented, and for and forging a connection that will remain with him forever. And two, the viewers grew concerned that Liam was projecting dark internal thoughts, that these praises were goodbyes for whatever fashion goodbye meant in this instance. It became quite clear by the end of the broadcast, after we saw them all laughing and Sam's little aside, that this narrative was for storytelling purposes only, and maybe a little injection of love for Liam's castmates and crew. However, some people became distraught and uncomfortable at the display, as well as and as well as shared concern for Liam. Then the user goes on to say, and I think what we all have to understand is that those emotions are perfectly normal. For people who have dealt with depression and loss, witnessing the moment of a loved one lavishing praise on friends and family before saying goodbye or leaving is not entirely uncommon. Whether they simply leave one's life by running away, picking up and leaving, committing suicide, or some other method, it can be devastating. And Liam's storytelling for this episode may have struck a nerve or reopened a wound. However, art and storytelling do sometimes angle that way to strike a chord with viewers and make them feel. And while it was uncomfortable for myself after having gone through this scenario, it did feel good to watch Liam be able to express love for others and on a deeply personal level in the open in front of thousands of people. But I think the main takeaway is this: the people who are concerned for Liam's well being did so out of kindness and human sympathy for our fellow critter castmates. It was not out of malice or out of anger, it was out of love. Love for a role player, for an actor who can make us feel that way, and for a person who we do not know on an individual basis, but whose well being we most definitely do care for. So please, if you were affected by this, take heart that you are not alone. If you grew annoyed with the people who were concerned with Liam, please understand that those feelings derived out of passion and worry, not hatred or annoyance. This is one of the most positive communities that I have been a part of, and so I have no doubt that critters feel the same way. And then they go on to thank the cast and crew and Liam for being just so awesome and the performances that he displayed.
Yes, and that's one of the biggest reasons that I love Critical Role. They're not afraid to get into the tough topics. They're not afraid to be human.
No, it's concerning sometimes when you're not given warning.
I agree. I do. Liam knew where this was going to start, and he knew where this was going to end. And he had one or two notes of what might happen in the middle. And I think this episode would have warranted, like as we did at the beginning of our episode, a little bit of a trigger warning.
Pretty much, yeah.
Um, However, games like these, a lot of people don't associate it with D&D, but if something like this had happened in a game of Vampire the Masquerade, or if the game had been set in Ravenloft, they would have immediately realized things could get dark.
Yeah.
Um, and this is nothing against Liam and the way he decided to run the game. Um, But I did see and I have talked with a lot of individuals who have known people who have committed or attempted suicide. And I know uh, in past episodes I have mentioned, you know, having been depressed at one point in my life to the point where I had considered suicide. I'm not like that right now. Don't anyone get worried. Thank you for the love and thoughts if you are. I'm not like that right now, and this did not, this episode didn't trigger me specifically. I know just talking about it with other individuals associated with the show, not necessarily hosts, but you know, they were triggered. So, what we would like to do for the next half hour to an hour at most. This is going to be one of our shorter episodes, but we wanted to go ahead and bring this into a PSA, a public service announcement, and actually sit down and create this a safe space where we can discuss, various aspects of depression, signs and symptoms of suicidal thoughts. Um, and it's, as we said at the beginning, it's an uncomfortable topic, but one that does need to be talked about. So, to start things off, um, if Jess, if you don't mind, I would like to go ahead and get a little more in depth with my background.
Yeah, go on ahead.
So, I was still in the army when I was suicidal.
Mm.
And I have been suicidal more than once. The first time I was having some family issues, and I felt I was losing the important people in my life.
Mm.
Fortunately, one of my NCOs, one of my sergeants, um, saw what was happening, and because in the army we are trained at least quarterly, meaning every 3 months, on suicide awareness. He recognized the signs of what was going on and got me the help I needed. The second time, I had been recently moved from one base to another, and again, I was feeling lost and alone. But because of the help that I had received previously, because of the training that we had done every 3 months, I recognized what was going on in myself. And I contacted my local hospital. And they got me where I needed to be. For me specifically, the common theme there is feeling alone. And that is a very, very common feeling for individuals um, that are suicidal, that are depressed. More importantly, in my view, because depression can lead to suicide, whereas the suicidal thoughts generally stem from somewhere. A person does not wake up and decide to end their life in 10 minutes unless there's things that have been going on before, unless there have been signs. And the hardest part for anyone on the outside, for anybody seeing this individual, the hardest part is going to be what signs are there.
Yeah.
Because a person who's suicidal, a person who's depressed, they're going to bottle it up as much as they can. They're going to try to hide it. If they are serious about it, if this is something that they believe that they want, I'm not going to say that they actually want it, because that's the darkness speaking, and the darkness lies to you. But if it's something that they believe they want, then they are going to do what they can to keep it from people. But nobody's perfect. There are going to be some signs, but they will be hard to see. Um, in I hope I'm not putting you on the spot with this, Jess, but
No. Well, I came here to talk, so.
okay. I still, I know in preparing for this episode, you had talked to some individuals, and I'm not asking you to name names. That's their private stories. If they want it out, that's for them to do. But
No, I think it'd be okay to. I won't go too in depth, but uh, just me personally, I've never been suicidal. It's never, I've been depressed, but it's never gotten to the point where I've considered killing myself. But all three of my closest friends were suicidal. They aren't anymore, and that comes from a long time of medical issues. All three of them struggle with insane things. One of my friends had to get her heart replaced, and struggles daily with disease. Another friend of mine has had migraines almost daily, and there were long stretches of time where she could not get up and out of bed. And then another friend just almost gave up and decided to sleep in the snow and not get up during the winter. So I didn't know several of those stories until very recently, but just my closest friend, I didn't hear from her for 6 months. And then I came to find out that she had attempted suicide and had been in a hospital care for a very long time before she was finally able to come back and talk to her old friends again. And just to realize that the people that I care most deeply about were keeping this from me, and keeping just, it was hard to find that they didn't want to be in this world anymore, and they wanted to end it. And they didn't call or ask for help from anybody. Leading up into that, one of my friends was able to recognize the signs. Having not slept for a couple days, she realized that, oh, I should probably not do this and call my doctor and get some help. But the other ones were found going through the stages. So when I was watching Liam's one shot the other night, it also reminded me of when my grandfather was trying to say his last goodbyes to me. And it just, with no warning and no lead up to it, it suddenly felt like I was losing somebody else again. So it scared me, and I got scared for Liam, and I was wondering because he's been very upfront about his struggles with how his mother died and uh, the oncoming depression that he faced afterwards and the low point that he went through his life. I can only relate, and it's very difficult to suddenly see somebody start talking in terms of goodbyes, even if it's just acting, and you find out afterwards it's acting. It's live. The emotions are right there. His words were being fed to us right there, and it did not sit well. And I know a lot of people had to actually exit the room from
Oh yeah,
watching. Yeah.
yeah. Um, but this it sounds disrespectful in my head, but there's no other way to say it. This illustrates the point I was making,
Yeah.
that people who are saying goodbye, people who are planning things, they will try to hide it, and you may
Yeah.
not be able to see it. That's not a shortcoming on you.
Yeah.
It's not a
So
shortcoming on any normal person.
so when I did see it, I started to freak out when Liam was saying goodbye. So it was like, oh shoot, missed all my opportunities here. Now I'm seeing it now, and it's concerning.
And don't, for anyone out there that had these concerns, don't ever feel bad that you had those concerns. Don't feel bad that you came to this conclusion, because bottom line is none of us have all of the information. None of us see every aspect of someone's life.
Exactly.
Even if they are a loved one, even if they're a spouse, and you spend your nights next to this individual, you spend your life around this individual, you're you are not your spouse. You're not that particular loved one. So there's stuff that you're not going to know, that you can't know because you're not them. Don't feel bad for asking, "Are you okay?" Never feel bad for that. Never stop asking that, because one of these days you're going to see those signs. You're going to see someone doing something similar to what Liam did for his game. And it may be you and your DM sitting around a table and your DM's doing that. But to the DM, it may not be a game. And you won't know. So don't ever hesitate to ask, "Are you okay?" In my training from the Army, we discussed how difficult it can be to actually see something like this coming. Some of the signs some of the signs include things like saying goodbye and finishing, um, you know, paying off bills, and stuff that would be seem perfectly normal. But maybe they're getting all of their business completed so that they don't feel like they're burdening anyone who's after them, like,
My
and family members and friends and such.
the friend that I had who ended up calling her doctor had actually done all of that. She'd planned it all out. She was even planning a place where she was going to do it so that the cleanup would be minimal.
Hmm.
So,
By the same token, you know, there are like There was one guy in one of my units. He suddenly started paying off all of his bills. Paid off his car, paid off his house, paid off his one of his friends' cars. Had all of his bills current and everything. And we grew concerned. So we confronted him. We asked him, "Are you okay?" And we all were able to sit around and laugh because it turned out his grandmother had won the lottery and had given him a large amount of money. So he was able to do all of that. But he thanked us because, yes, he had gotten the good fortune of being able to do all of this. And it had nothing to do with what he was going through, but because we stepped up and asked, "Are you okay?" He was able to get assistance with other issues in his life.
Yeah.
The the symptoms of depression, the symptoms of suicidal thoughts vary from person to person. Sometimes they may become happier and seem to be improving only to turn around and attempt suicide or even complete suicide because they did have that depression, they did have that darkness, they did have those problems they thought they couldn't get help with, they thought they couldn't handle. And once they had decided on a course of action, they felt that everything would be okay after that. And so they appeared to improve. If you feel that someone is suicidal, if you are feeling suicidal, reach out.
Please.
Absolutely, please reach out. There is too much darkness in the world, and we need all the light that we can get. And if you leave, we lose a light. We love you. Stay with us, please. Seek the help. A lot of
You're,
people. I'm sorry, go ahead.
you're not alone. Please never think that you're alone. Never think that there isn't a family member or a friend that you used to have that you haven't talked to in a long time. Never think that they're not going to want to sit down and help with you and talk with you because can guarantee that they're out there and they're willing to talk and they will do whatever they can in their power to help you out of this dark place.
A lot of people who are feeling depressed, a lot of people who have gotten to the point of feeling suicidal, maybe even planning suicide, a lot of people have this stigma that asking for help is a weakness, and it's not. It was only because I asked for help that I'm here today. And it's only because somebody reached out to me the first time that I'm here today. Reaching out, asking for help, and accepting help are all strengths. If you're not sure where to go or who to talk to, if you feel like this is something that you don't want to burden your friends with, you don't want to burden your loved ones with, if it's something that you feel is too personal to share with them, down in the description below there are those links. They, and by they I mean the individuals on the other end of those links, at the other end of those phone numbers, they are there for you. You're not burdening them. That is what they are there for. Please reach out. If you are in a place where, like, if you're listening in another country where none of that information is listed in the description, you can always go to your local hospital. You can go to uh, your local police. You can go to a local church, and they will know who to get you into contact with or have the resources on hand to help you.
Yeah.
Every every church, every major religion has someone in their organization that can, if not help you directly, can walk you to someone who will help you directly. And if you're not depressed, you're not suicidal, but you know someone who is, and that person comes to you and asks, "Can you help me?" The the most stressed scenario that we had in the military was if someone comes to you for help, you stand by that person, you get them the help, and you make sure they go. If they admit that they're feeling suicidal and it's just the two of you at your house, at their house, hanging out at a park, whatever, if they admit to you that they have this plan, the best thing that you can do for that individual, go with them to the hospital. Sit there and hold their hand while they're on the phone contacting one of the hotlines. Let them know that you're there for them. Um, Dragon Rune, do you mind if I read this out loud? Read your comment out loud. Or your comments out loud. I know you're sharing it in a public forum, so I know that the intent is you know to get the word out there, but I want to get your permission to share what you're typing verbally in the video because it won't show up when this video is posted live. So if you could let us know if you're okay with us reading that out, I would like to, and thank you so much for sharing. But you know, if you think someone is in that space, reach out to them. If someone you know, someone you love is acting differently, make a point of setting some time aside to talk with them. A lot of people get busy with life. They get busy with work, they get busy with hobbies, and they lose sight of the people around them.
We're good to go on Dragon Rune, I mean.
Okay. Um, these these distractions, They may be important to your life, but please make the people you love the top priority. It's one of the founding ideas to spreading the love, making sure people come first. So thank you, Dragon Rune, for allowing us to share this. The Dragon Rune in the live chat says, "Thanks for sharing, guys. I myself have been depressed for years, and I have been getting better, but before my family and friends noticed, I almost took the plunge. My biggest signs were extreme isolation and starvation. If you feel or see a loved one act differently, talk to them and get them help. If you feel different, try to get help yourself. It took me a year to accept that I needed help. And if you feel like you can't go talk to someone to get help for you, don't be alone. Don't fall into your thoughts, because that's just a spiral. It will feed up, the darkness will feed upon itself. The darkness will lie to you."
I'd be lying if I said I just did not go through that recently because it's when I say I've never been suicidal, it's true, but I'm not going to sit here and say that I haven't been depressed and extremely depressed because I have. And it's a terrible cycle. And the hardest part was admitting that you need help. It's so difficult. And it might be hard to understand for other people outside that why didn't you go and seek help earlier? You should have recognized that these, I mean, you could obviously see that your life was going in the shitter, right? And the answer is yes. We do see. The problem is we don't know necessarily how to ask for help sometimes, or we just don't really want to recognize that it's gotten that bad. So sometimes it's best for other people to be able to recognize how bad the depression is getting so that they can help them before they go too far.
Even if, like with myself, even if you know where you can go to get help, when it comes to depression, like I said, that darkness, it lies to you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm clinically depressed. So for the rest of my life, I will be on medications for it. But even then, the darkness is going to sit there and lie. Because when I start getting into those depressed zones, my first thought is not, I need to talk to somebody about this. My first thought is, I'm being an asshole right now. I'm being selfish. I don't want to burden anybody else any more than I already have.
Exactly.
And that's the darkness lying to you. That's the darkness speaking with your own voice, trying to drag you down into that cycle, trying to keep you there. And we're not, a lot of people will sit there and say, well, what about individuals like Taliesin? What about it? Honestly, what about individuals like me? We're goths. We, as is the common phrase, we revel in the darkness.
Not
No,
that kind of darkness.
not that kind of darkness. We flirt with the abyss. We find the beauty in the darkness. We realize that when the sun goes down, and it's overcast, so dark that you can't see the moon. There are colors that you cannot see elsewhere. But that's a celebration of life. We realize that the passing of a loved one is a part of nature and life, but only when it's natural. The darkness that is depression, the darkness that causes the suicidal ideas, it's not just darkness. It's not the abyss. It's beyond the void. But remember, no one out there is alone. There are people who have left private messages for me that have thanked me for doing this show and helped them either find Critical Role, help them find a place in the community so that they don't feel alone, because from their point of view, they're just sitting looking at a computer screen and they feel like they are isolated. They feel alone. They feel abandoned. But none of us are alone. So please, if, it cannot be stressed enough. If you know somebody who's feeling that way, or you are feeling that way, don't let it get out of hand. Please use the information below to get help or to help someone else. But I think we are going to start going in circles if we haven't been already.
Yeah.
I want to
I think
thank,
we've been fairly good about it.
yeah, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Um, I do apologize that our face reveal is happening on such a somber and such a down note of an episode. But I felt it important to allow all of you out there to see that we are people, that we do have our problems, and we do understand, and that there is help out there, even when you call the number or call the numbers if you're asking for help. If you call the numbers, your first feeling is that they're just a voice on the other end of the line, but they're so much more, just like we are so much more. So, we're real people. You're a real person. We care about you. There are others that care about you.
Critters care.
Yes. And as difficult as it was to find a way to bring this subject up, as far as getting more people aware of the assistance that is out there, I would like to thank Liam and the cast of Critical Role for not shying away from the difficult topics. Not shying away from the topics that most people cringe at, that most people find taboo.
Yeah.
A lot of us joke, about the polymachina, and we revel in the genderqueer representation. But equally important are these dark subjects. And they need to be brought into public light A lot of myths need to be dispelled. We're not, you know, by any means, we're not professionals here, but the people at the information below, the people at the on the other ends of those phone numbers and websites, they are the professionals and they can help. So with that, I think we're going to go ahead and close out the episode.
Yep.
I know this was a rather somber episode, but if you did enjoy it, or you decide to go back and watch an episode that was a little more cheery, and you enjoy that one, click
Sorry.
click on that like button, subscribe, in order to catch us each and every week. If you have any D&D questions, or any questions about anything that we talk about on the show, feel free to send those our way. You can contact us via Twitter using at Gilmore_gossip. You can contact us via email, gilmoresgloriousgossip@gmail.com. Or if you just simply want to submit art, you can contact our Tumblr. Or if you want to talk about anything more serious, you can contact us on Tumblr
Yep.
uh,
Or Twitter.
or Twitter. If you want to talk to us directly, please understand that there are a lot of people out there, so if we don't get back to you right away, we are not ignoring you, not in the slightest. We will contact you back. It may not be right away, but we will contact you back. You can contact us via Twitter. I'm at Akiva David, AKIVADAPHYDD.
I'm at Jesse LR Leaf, and you can find me also at Kurt Roll Sketch on Tumblr. Also, we all run, but on Thursday nights I take over the Tumblr and do live sketching. So if you want to follow me over on Tumblr on Thursday nights, I will be posting live sketches for everybody.
We hope you guys got some good information out of this, and we promise next week should be a little more cheerful. So until next week, I hope you kick back, relax, and enjoy your games.
Have a good night, guys, and I will see you on the internet.
And on behalf of Kalia and Kat, may all your hits be crits and have a nat 20 day. Goodbye,
Bye.
guys.